right. Time to start it off this morning. Just sending you the cohort invites to Jill or whoever that is behind 24-Hour Club. Just in case. If I get rugged or something and people are in here, let's have a co-host. And thank you very much, Digital KM1, for rolling in, chilling with us some more. I like your aces. Ace of spades, ace of diamonds. It's interesting. And it's a cool play. All right, so I don't have any time-themed music today, guys. I'm starting to try to play only copyright-free music since the spaces that I'm hosting are now being syndicated to YouTube. And I don't know. Sometimes they just go crazy and try and ban you. Other times they just like demonetize it or whatever. I don't care about any of that. I just don't want it banned, So I'm just trying to stay away from the copyrighted music so that even though it's not supposed to just flag it like that, it does happen sometimes. So anyway, trying to play royalty-free music. So I want to start off by saying welcome everyone who's listening back. I know we get a lot of replays back afterwards. So even though there's not very many people here with us at this moment, anyone who piles in can queue it up and hear the beginning. So I'm just going to do some housekeeping items here real quick and make sure that we're all on the same page. If you're new to 24-Hour Club, what we do and what we are, we're 1,440 minutes of the day. There's a kind of a default scarcity in the number of minutes of the day. And you can check out our MVP, which is located at ensclock.com. You check it out. And the idea there is kind of like each of these NFTs is represented in its respective minute of UTC time on that clock. And so the avatar of that ENS domain becomes kind of a piece of art, and we're looking at ways to leverage that and put that clock in places where it can be seen and where it has more utility. It's a really interesting question, all of this with 24-Hour Club and what we're doing. It really boils down to this. We've all told time in our local, time zone forever, and we kind of do little adjustments, semi-locally. But we're not as well acquainted with doing, planning and strategizing daily and organizing across many time zones. And hey, what's up? That was our homie, one of the Richard Club. So yeah, with that in mind, we really wanted to kind of, I think initially, when we started thinking about the functionality and the utility, who's going to look at this and why, it's just kind of like Web3 people, of course, all of our crypto friends and homies and metaverse, people are going to dig this. But the more that I think about it, the more I realize that I think we're a really powerful adoption tool. I think obviously that'll have that purpose for people who dig it and are aware of the history. But I think once we get to a certain point where maybe we have a clock in Decentraland close to the origin space and people are seeing UTC everywhere and they're really thinking differently about UTC. I mean, we could be a part of that, of changing the way that people are able to plan and coordinate events together because of their understanding of UTC. And so we can make a tool that makes that experientially really accessible for people. And that's what I'm most excited about with the 24-Hour Club. So let's take a look at our stats before we go on. I was just pulling them up on ENS Vision. It's kind of cool to see where we're at. 0.045 floor price, top sale 5 ETH, owners 569, items 1,440, 24-hour volume 0.034. Total volume 138.59 ETH, and top offer at the moment 0.0296 or about 0.03. On the floor price 0.045 for 624, followed by 1438, 1732, 1429. So the floor minutes are right up to about 416. The fifth one or so, sixth one is about 0.08. So we've got a pretty thin floor to 0.1. I mean, it's like nine or so. These you could be swept and puts us up at 0.1. It's interesting. So don't let floor price govern too much of your perceptions of things. It's kind of arbitrary. Look at the thickness and the thinness of said floors, and then look at kind of the value and the utility of what's being done. I'm a big fan of this club. I think we're doing fun things, and I can't wait for you guys to get more involved. So please, join the fray, hang out with us. I'm just sending an invite to speak out to some of the new guests who've joined us, including -2, great friend of mine from the -10 Club. We are thick as thieves. What is going on, -2? Thanks for joining the 24-hour club space today. Yeah, man, you're totally welcome here, and it would be great to hear your perspectives on 24-hour club. I don't know how familiar you are with what we're doing over here. It's just basically we're trying to, you know, build a metaverse clock. No big deal. Probably nothing. But yeah, no, it's great to have you, man. So I don't know if you can chat right now. I don't want to put you on the spot. And Noor, no ordinary girl, nice one. A no ordinary girl. I like your .eth. No ordinary girl .eth. And check out No Ordinary Girl has rocked the dev, medium skin tone or dark skin tone dev, followed by coffee emoji .eth. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. No ordinary. You are no ordinary girl .eth. You know, I love two emoji combos. I am like so obsessed with them. I have James Bond, I have the squirt gun guy, Groom. I've got Alien Pride flag, Alien Pirate flag. I've got so many two emoji combos I think are so cool. But what you've done there is really exciting too. And, in terms of just mixing the skin tone with a single code point emoji so you can get to that bare minimum. And then it's beyond that too. People don't realize you can register that for quite a while. So that's a cool one. Good job. Nice to see the cleverness of the 24-hour club. Anyone who's hanging out here is probably deep ENS degen. So right on, and good job with that registration. Those are cool. We're about to start having discoverability on some of that. So let's talk about the clock and what we can expect and what we want to see. Right now, the objective here is really start updating your avatars. We've been talking about this for a long time, since we started this club back in, I think, May. And I wasn't a part of the initial founding of this club, so I'm just kind of like trying to fill in the history of what has happened. I've been here for about 3 months, so in the first month or two, there was definitely a lot of building going on. It was right in the tail end of the previous bull run. And so I think at this moment is a great time for rebuilding and just chatting it up. What do we hope to achieve? And what left us is sort of like, for me personally, wanting to really go into metaverse, spaces and put the clock there, find ways to integrate it and build that community. I think that's where this thing's going to have the most value and utility. I know that it sounds like crazy to take on such a huge load, but it just happens that I just know some people who are, quite capable in that kind of stuff, in 3D development, 3D animation. And then I know some other people who have a bunch of metaverse land deals going. So I don't know if it's all going to come together. I hope so. I think it would be great. But we have to, just be consistent and sitting, in this spot, holding the space, saying, all right, once a week, 24-hour club gets together, and we just get a little bit closer to our goal. So I would love to invite anyone who'd like to speak or ask questions. But first, please do share and retweet the space. I'm going to do the same. And I think, for the most part, we could just kind of keep it just open convo right now today. I don't have like an agenda to push or any kind of, there's nothing really specific on the docket right now. So I kind of was hoping that we would just chat and see if we're getting a little closer to where we want to be. Maybe if you're up to it, Digital KM1, maybe you could give us an update on kind of how things are going on your end, if you've been able to enlist any support from the people around you. And if anyone else wants to chime in, it'd be great to get the convo going. -2, I don't know if you have a 24-hour club, but I'd like to make sure to get you on board here. It's just and you might notice that some of these digits in the 420 range, 416 and stuff are near the floor. But yeah, KM1, how's it going? Welcome. I saw you take the mic, so it's great to have you, man. What's going on?
Hey man, not too bad, not too bad. I'm just in the car at the moment. I've parked up, just to sort of chat. But I will be making my way back home soon. So just want to drop in and say quickly hello and thanks for running these spaces as usual. An update from my side is just I've been messaging quite a number of people actually within the engineering community. So far, feedback's been really positive. I do find a lot of times that we do get really good reactions from this. It's just maybe getting someone to commit to joining from more of a dev support side long term. But I've had some really good suggestions, and that's being maybe looking at hackathons and stuff like that. So that's what I'm looking at doing next. I'm reaching out to some really cool, keen developers who want to work on something within the metaverse and help us build this Web3 metaverse clock. Hello, am I still here?
Outstanding. That's Yeah, I may have rugged for a minute there. Sorry about that. I was just my alarm. It's funny. I always set an alarm on my phone for the spaces, and then when I'm doing the spaces, the alarm's going off, and I always forget to turn it off right at the beginning. But yeah, no, I'm sorry if I rugged you. I definitely love. I heard think everything you said though. I really love what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you. It's so important that somebody's kind of carrying that banner and saying, hey, we got a great idea. We've got some early foundational stuff done. That's pretty cool. The proof of concept, and now we're looking to take the next step. To have a product scope and just define that really clearly with a developer who can achieve all the endpoints of it. As opposed to what we've been doing is kind of like ideating, without, severed from reality, which is fine and good. I think it's a necessary part of the process. And then you got to kind of ground it back, tie it back to, what can we do and how efficiently can it be done with what size of team and what time frame. And that all comes down to budget. And if your budget's zero, then you really got to try and squeeze the value out of all of it. So in that sense, I think we might have the advantage of kind of offering developers the support of our community, whatever we're able to do as we kind of grow and more people are engaging with the metaverse clock. I'm going to take this message into all the different metaverse spaces. I've been talking about it in Decentraland. I've been talking about it on AltSpace VR. I've been talking about it on Cyber. So all the different communities that I'm connecting up to in different metaverse spaces are hearing about this idea and that we're working towards something. So whether or not they make it here or not, is another story. I think we got to probably. I share these with Biometa, who's kind of one of the first, multi metaverse broadcasters, you might say. He's like streaming like 15 different platforms. So I made sure to let him know, and he retweeted this one, shared the space. But I think it'd be so cool to have him in here, have high CC, make it NFT, and some of the folks from Meta Trekkers and other communities, DJ Tracks, have some of the real influential metaverse people that I'm meeting who have daily events inside of Decentraland and stuff. Get them in this club. That's my goal right now. So I know it's kind of like slow going sometimes, but I think that those foundational pieces are really important. So I was sending out invites this week to those friends and would love to have them, increasingly aware of what we're doing. So please, guys, do share our spaces and any details and stuff like that with your metaverse friends as well. All and anyone who you meet in your travels who's actively involved in Decentraland or who's actively kind of exploring metaverse stuff in general. This is where I think the opportunity, the greatest opportunity in the shortest time frame will be for us. Atmosphere just rolled in with the doogie looking fresh and kind of a clean doogie with the glasses and the hat. I like it. Yeah, my doogies are evil. I just have winged bat creatures from hell. I've got Heisendoog and Heisenbooney, and I love my doogies. And I know some of the guys who are involved in the Doogies project, and they're friends. So I like seeing the Doogies. Doogie. Love atmosphere. I was usually rocking a skull, if I'm not mistaken. So it's cool to see you, atmosphere. Hope you enjoying rocking your atmosphere. Try and add that atmosphere.eth to your domain. It looks fresh, throw the .eth. It's dope that we got everyone together. I don't want to just go off monologuing the whole time, so I'm gonna throw the mic back. Maybe -2, aka PV5905. You want to join the conversation? Are you able to chat? So, Gio, do you want to come in and give some updates on Discord and Twitter and some of the outreach that you've been doing to try to recruit and grow the space? All right. Well, I don't want to impose on anyone, but I just did want to kind of give you guys the opportunity and let everyone know that you've been invited to speak. You got the speaker role, so you're more than welcome to jump in. No ordinary girl, amazing. I'm just following you back, and just gonna kind of shout you out for a moment here because I'm really impressed with your two emoji combos, and I appreciate you being here with us. So it looks like you were part of Shark Tank. You're, retweeting the Shark Tank events as well. Really dig that. And just kind of scoping your page here. You retweeted the space for the 24-hour club. Really, really appreciate you. You're being a support to a lot of the communities that matter. So that's really rad of you. And I wanted to kind of invite you to what I do as well, everyone here. And since, no one's, jumping up to grab the microphone and tell us about 24-hour club stuff, I just want to kind of tell you about some things that I'm doing to connect the dots. And sometimes I'm in danger, I think, of having a too macro of a perspective. I really zoom out and I look at everything for a moment. And I think sometimes people see that and they go, what the heck? That's not related. But I see all these dots, in between. I see the connection. I see that if I make metaverse friends and I go to metaverse events and I host metaverse auctions and I get good at using these metaverse tools and I know, metaverse people, then we'll have more opportunity to build our metaverse clock, with the right cast of characters, what they're doing, who have the experience and knowledge and good, good personality and good, people vouching for their ethics, their integrity, including us, including me. So that, I don't want to go and find some random person who says that they know how to build things and they say that they're, trustworthy and then just give them the keys of the kingdom. That's how you get yourself in trouble. And we've already had some like frustrations with, trying to bring, some progress to the development end. And, it can be a challenge because talented developers are hard to come by, and they're worth they're worth a lot, and they know that. So I think that the important thing for us is with any of the development that we do, that we know that the developers are trusted and show us some demo, show us a little bit of something before we would ever start allocating a budget. So we're in a bit of a cold start situation right now where we kind of don't have a budget, but we don't have a developer to give a budget to. So we, didn't want to go and request, funding from the DAO and put in a grant proposal and all that when it would, potentially just sit there or be distributed to, me for hosting this space. I don't know how that, I couldn't really justify that, honestly, once that money runs out and we've got no progress. Even initially, I think it would just look bad for us to kind of take DAO funding and throw it to community management when we don't have, the next steps lined up. So that's kind of, I see our role as community management. Whoever's here right now who's not a developer, see yourself in the community growth and community development management part of what we're doing. And I think that once we get the developer, team dialed in and we've got some people who've signed on and committed to helping us and they're ready to do that for some equity in the upside of the economics of the marketing aspect of the clock, then I think we've got just the better clear path toward requesting funds from the DAO. And so that's my feeling about it ethically and just the norm, the standard of how this is done. It's one thing just go ask for money, but it'd just be better for us to be prepared to execute with those funds. And that's my feeling on it anyway. So yeah, a part of that is about just doing these metaverse treks that I'm doing, hanging out with people, hosting events, hosting auctions. So I'm just going to invite you guys to my daily auctions. You can generally probably any day find what I'm doing just by looking at hashtag daily auctions. Just that will get you to me probably. So keep your eyes open for what I'm doing with daily auctions. The time is a little bit up in the air. I'm trying to do it at 6 p.m. Pacific, but it might not be the ideal time. It might be need to kind of oscillate because people in Europe are saying much earlier, and for me personally, I want to do later. So I might do a 9 p.m. or something, and then an 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm just working on the timing of it all, but I have pre-created some events for the auction, for the daily auction, and that's going to be auctioning 3D items, 3D NFTs that can go into your OnCyber, that can bring you into the OnCyber, so that the 24-hour club is doing that simple thing. Go to oncyber.io, create an account, connect your wallet. Ta-da! Do it. Once you've done it, now you're in the metaverse. Now you're part of the 24-hour clock. Now you're part of Meta Clock. Now you're not just a 24-hour club timekeeper, ENS timekeeper with a two-dimensional PFP avatar on your ENS. You're entering the third dimension. You're going into the metaverse, and that happens in a very small incremental way where you're hybridized. You're between two different platforms. you're on Twitter Space, and then you're on Cyber, and you mute the audio on Cyber, and because if on Cyber crashes or whatever, you're still talking on the Space. Or you go on the Twitter or in the Discord audio. A lot of us are doing that with Meta Trekkers and the other metaverse groups. We all pile into the Discord server, get on the voice channel, and then we jump on Decentraland in the browser. We're doing all the audio on Discord, though. We're doing all the audio is happening on Discord because Decentraland and these other metaverse environments are unstable. And Decentraland, especially recently, has been really crashing a lot for me personally. And I think it's because I'm kind of where I've been using it is not the most capable machine. So definitely try it if you're going to metaverse stuff, try and find yourself a decent GPU and a machine that has some resources. So that's my advice to you guys. Don't be like me. I gave away my best computer because I'm disabled, so I can't really sit upright in that position on the desktop. So I started working on mobile and laptop, exclusively. And I gave away my really dope Alienware with like um, a Vega GPU with I think it's like a 16 gigabyte GPU and stuff. But now I'm really missing that thing right now. It's such a good streaming system. I'm ready to call my friend's kid like, you done with my streaming machine, dude? But it was a gift, and I hope he's enjoying it. But yeah, I might, as my health changes, hopefully it's getting better. It's kind of a degenerative thing, but in the recent weeks, I've been sitting at a desk doing some work on OnCyber for limited periods of time, and that's working out okay for me. So it'd be nice to have a better machine that actually could hold up with all of it. But you know how it is, guys. We just do the best we can with what we can. It sucks streaming on a laptop because you just have the single monitor and somebody sends you a private DM. It's like, oh, well, let's go and stream to the world. Or you have to edit it, which is not the point, right? I'm not trying to edit stuff. I have fine motor skill issues. So stream pipeline content creation stream has become, the efficiency of that has become really important to me. So I'm actually leveraging creating more content than I've ever created, and doing that with just a one click, out to Audio Labs to just put the stuff on YouTube, and finding creative ways to leverage what ability and skill set I do have. And I encourage you guys to do the same. And everyone, if you have a limitation that's brought you here to Web3 or not, you just have strengths that you want to emphasize. I think this is a perfect spot for you to kind of just find your niche, what you do well. Maybe it's graphic design, maybe it's a little bit of front end. Maybe you're just a consultant or your community manager. It doesn't matter. Whatever your skill set is, it's useful. It's useful to us at 24-Hour Club. It's useful to pretty much any Web3 project. So welcome, Psycho. Got the Maxi. Love to see Psycho's in studios.eth rolling with the Maxi banner image. Pretty dope. Pretty dope. Cool to see the Maxis rolling in. We'd love to get some Maxis up on our avatars in the short term for the 24-Hour Club. 24-Hour Club has, as you may know, 1,440 minutes in the day, all, 00H00 all the way through 23H59. And those minutes you can associate an avatar with them. And then when you go to ensclock.com, which you could do right now, ensclock.com, and you could see whatever avatar for the minute that's displaying presently, and it's got a 60-second countdown. Goes to the next one. It's so cool. That was built by Hexagon Kiwi. Thank you, Hexagon, for kicking off the clock. A few things with the clock I'll just mention. The clock normalizes to UTC or to your local time. We want it to stay locked at UTC. But we do want we want to have 3 clocks like at the airport: New York, London, Paris, whatever. We want 3 of those with middle one UTC, left one normalized to your local time with override. And then the right one would just be a, drop down. You pick free for all, whatever you want, plus or minus UTC slider or drop down with names of area codes, of time zones. So that's it. I mean, that's it. It's not the craziest thing, but if we build that interface as an iframeable widget with a nice UI that you can put and embed into ENS Vision or Domain Plug or the ENS app website, some of those people have kind of indicated that if it's built well and they like what it is, that they might be willing to give it a little push, whether that means embedding it or just sharing it, promoting it in some of their other sites or content. That's what we're looking for, is those kind of big connections. So I want to make sure that you guys are seeing it from that perspective too, that because the club was kind of basically ideated by Alex Van de Sant, co-founder of ENS, There's been from the early days like a lot of people kind of peripherally and directly involved in the club who are just deep OGs of ENS and have great vision and connections and community and just great ideas. So this is a cool place to be. And as soon as we're up and running with our 3D MVP, I think it's gonna hit different. Seeing a big metaverse clock tower like Back to the Future just definitely have a different effect than going to a static 2D site, ensclock.com. What are we doing here? How did I get here? Why am I here? Um, that's a different kind of, that's a different question, isn't it? I'm here because I like 24-hour club. It's a circular thing. I'm here because I'm part of the club. Okay. Why is anyone new going to come? So we're trying to work out the motivational dynamics. The 24 art exhibit is great, but it's just probably not enough. It's probably not sufficient to actually generate the traffic that we would need to solicit the advertisement, to warrant the price of the advertisement. Here, pay an ETH to have your minute. Don't worry, 6 people will see it every day. All right. Um, so what we really want is to be able to show advertisers a dashboard that says, look how many people are visiting and using the widget. Check out how many people visit the plot of land where the clock tower is located in Decentraland, and they look up and they see the 2D widget embedded up there with the top of the clock. And I was thinking of like this is kind of how I was thinking about the 3D design because and I want to mention the specifics of this. Um, I love on Decentraland. I love how things are kind of low poly. It's sort of nice that it's almost the aesthetic I've started to like, but also I like that I have a better understanding of what the clock would look like in 3 dimensions and how to get the utility right in using the space and going into Decentraland very often for the last week and 2 and 3 weeks. My experience has been okay. So how would you get the most utility? How would people know it was a clock? When they're running around the space, and how would they know to look up? Because there's some buildings in Decentraland that are quite tall, some really tall buildings. And when you look up, you could not really necessarily see the top of them. And it might be unclear how tall they are when you're walking by. You're just kind of tunnel vision looking at what's in front of you, what's is adjacent to you. And so you might not really care to look up and say, oh, that's a really tall building. So we could build the coolest, tallest clock tower, and it might potentially just be like, okay, there's another tall building, like walk on by. So what occurred to me was in the design, the 3D asset, it would be so wise to do a digital analog hybrid where the digital is huge at the bottom, so it's so visible. You see what I'm saying? So you walk by a very tall, Sauron's, Lord of the Rings type of tower. It's just massive, and as you approach it though, you're not just seeing like the drab empty base of like stone or whatever texture on the texture map. No, on all 4 sides of the bottom of this very tall clock tower, you're seeing like a neon bright display that would display advertisements, and over the top of them the time, the 24-hour club minute, like 00h00, if that were the time at minute 0. And so that's my objective, is just to, like when you have in your local town, right, you drive by the bank, and it's been a tradition for hundreds of years that the banks tell you what time it is. They have the public clock out there. Well, when sometimes they'll have an advertisement brought to you by the trophy shop or the sandwich shop down the road, whatever. That's how it was in my little hometown I grew up in. um, so I think you guys probably find that in Decentraland, it would make sense for us to actually have a space that's the clock be visible from the bottom of it. So the very bottom of the clock, all 4 sides, maybe it's like orange or yellow or just bright neon or something that fits with the aesthetic in Decentraland, where you're like, oh, look at that. What's that? A clock? We have a clock. And you might look up, oh, it's a clock tower. Look at that. It has the analog animated clock hands at the top of it, and it's got the neon, and there's a spiral staircase around it. I can climb to the top of the clock tower. This is crazy. I want people to be able to interact with it, explore it. But when they see it, that's the big thing. When they first encounter it, they need to be able to say, I need to look up. So there should be something that has them go, okay, what's up above this? So it should be a very tall and large display, almost like a pyramid where the base is larger than the top, not like a pyramid shape, but like the Lincoln Memorial or something, the Lincoln Monument, just like a very tall where it's slightly wider at the bottom. But yeah, that's kind of my thinking for that and how we would implement that from a design perspective. So that's what I've been talking to the 3D modeler friends about. How do we give that utility to the model so that it looks right, and then we can hand it off to plug in the code part of it, which should be really simple, honestly. That part, just displaying that we wouldn't even need to link out to the NFTs. That's just like a simple clock. All right, so that's about enough for me. It's been half hour. I'm really happy to share with you guys, but monologuing for a full hour is just crazy. So 30 minutes is about good for me. I'm gonna put a pin in it and invite everyone to please come into our Discord, get involved in the private community channels there. We have some cool stuff happening. We normally do this space at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. I scheduled out this week for 10:30 a.m. I'm trying to move it back a little bit so that we can, I think just my opinion is it's good to move the space around a little bit until you find, you want to have consistency, but until you find a time where people are able to make it and we have a core group of people coming in regularly, I think it's good to be a little flexible. We might be missing an opportunity by just sticking with the same time and not trying other things, especially since we're such an international crew. So I'm going to just continue to mess with the time of these spaces a little bit. So please be sensitive to that. Pay attention to the specific time that I'm scheduling them for. Give me feedback. Give us all feedback about what works best for you, what you think works best for everyone. I've been told about 11 a.m. is pretty good for people in Europe. So that's something I try to keep in mind for the other spaces that I do. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of music, let you guys get on with your day. -0, it's great to see you, man. You are a legend. It would be so dope to have you as a timekeeper, man. I didn't really see you there for a minute, so I want to acknowledge you and thank you for all that you do for the ENS community. -0 has started a fire. The man has started a fire with the negatives, the negatins, and we traced it back to official ETH nerd had locked up -69 a few months back, I guess. But I mean, I attribute the boom and the awareness. A lot of it is just totally attributable to you and what you're doing and your generosity. And I want to point that out too. I gave one of my 24-hour club minutes to Gary, um, Palmer Jr. because he's so involved. He's such a support, of so many different things in ENS world and the DAO, and a really knowledgeable guy. He did a consult with me, gave me some good feedback and insight, kind of unplanned, sort of talked his ear off. And so I was like, you know what? This is a perfect kind of person and perfect scenario where I want to say thank you to him on a personal level. I see that I'd want him to be connected to anything I'm doing. So I kind of invited him in here, gave him a minute. And I'm really hoping that he's able to find some time for us and kind of chill with us. I gave him 316. I think it's a real grail of timekeeper minutes. When I picked it up, I was really shocked that it was on the floor. So be thinking that way, you guys. Be thinking about who you can gift a minute to, who you can gift, or who you can with generosity. Maybe it's not a minute, maybe it's something else. But you might have, you know, you might find that generosity really goes a long way over shilling. People are really inclined to receive a gift with gratitude and try to reciprocate in some way, whether that's returning a gift to you or coming in and giving of themselves and building with us, which would be dope. Atmosphere, what's up? Did you just jump up and grab the speaker? Check, mic check.
Yeah, mic check. You hear me now?
Yeah, there you go. Hey.
Okay. Yeah, I was rugging, so I had to abort mission and come back in, and I just wanted to play with y'all, but just mostly listening.
Nice, man. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's funny. No, I'm rugging. I had to abort mission. I know that feeling. It's like run away, reboot. Did you ever see IT Crowd? The show IT Crowd, the classic line. Have you tried turning it off and then back on again? So, if you don't know the show, you got it. Everyone, all nerds must know IT
But
Crowd.
I know.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I do not know that movie.
Man, it's a British comedy show, probably 4 seasons, like really small, short seasons, like eight or so episodes. But God, it's so funny. It's about this IT, office for a big corporation, and these dorks in the basement and all the mischief that they get into. It's got some actors that you would know as well, but they're who are like almost nobody knows them for their work in IT crowd. But anyway, um, definitely check out IT crowd, and definitely find those funny things to put on your minutes too. Like if there's a joke or a comedy that lines up with your minute, be thinking about your avatars. I realized that I had 737. So I think this week I might put some cool airplane art on my avatar just for fun for that one. But big part of what we're doing is to correlate, your avatar minute with a piece of art or PFP or a funny meme or something that, connects it all together. So that's, I think, something that has been long overdue for me to start up. But I kind of have a vision for having the clock full. We all do. And I think one of our short-term needs before I close this up is to have a dashboard built, a real-time dynamic spreadsheet that will show us which of the 1,440 minutes do have an avatar field updated. Is there text at all in the avatar record for that ENS record? So I don't know who can build that. It's not a very huge bunch of lines of code, I wouldn't think. It's kind of like, you could pre-supply the domains and the link to crawl them. So a little bit of Python or something, I think you just kind of, it can be done relatively quickly by somebody with a skill set. So I'm really hoping that can happen. The dynamic list of the avatars that need to be updated would actually give us a lot of value. It would just give us a snapshot, a status update. How far are we? What percentage of the way are we? Especially if we had some kind of a meter or something that just reflected that. 24-hour club, 50% avatars, 75% avatars, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, we'll get back with it next week, everyone. I'm going to immediately create the space. I think that's one area where I failed in the past, just hosting these and then waiting to the last minute to create the next space, and it can't really circulate and get around. So as soon as I stop this, I'm going to queue up the space for next week, and hopefully everyone can make it to that. Invite your friends. I'm going to be focusing, like I mentioned, on inviting more metaverse friends. So hopefully we'll have some DJs, some wearable creators, and metaverse landowners in here increasingly as we go on. So patience, everyone. Don't worry, our time will come. Hashtag, there's a new hashtag for the club. Our time will come. Hashtag 24-hour club. Hashtag ENS timekeepers. Hashtag let's go. It's time to build the metaverse clock. It's okay that we're going through the cycles of up and down, but the main, to me, the main thing is that we're persistent. We're not losing the vision for what we want to do. We have a great vision. We have really established some core foundational elements, and there's no way that the metaverse clock doesn't get erected brick by brick, space by space. It will happen. It's the determination and the patience and the perseverance that will get us there, and the reward and the payoff for that will be so damn sweet. To stand in Decentraland having a group party in front of the metaverse clock that somebody else is throwing that didn't even know who or why that clock was built, but they're appreciating it and loving it. That will be the real treasure in all this. So I can't wait for that day. Look forward to that day where we're partying in front of the metaverse clock and people just take it for granted. What time is it? Oh yeah, I need to schedule a meeting with my buddy in China and my other buddy in Thailand. Okay, click on the widget. We all know what we use for that. We don't use Savvy Time. We don't use some Web 2 nonsense. We don't use our fingers. We use the meta clock. So let's go. Synthwave time. Synthwave out. Yes. God, I love Synthwave. Later on, Sajil, 24-hour club. Later on, -0. Awesome to have you with us again, Digital KM1. You really came in here and been showing some commitment to keep coming back and dredging your network for devs. Man, it's really cool. So you are one of many gears turning, but you're a big gear right now. Thank you. We're all just cogs in the metaverse clock wheel. Bunch of tinkering time travelers. Thanks for coming, everyone.